Hello, this is Mike, NoStressMike.com. And I want to talk a little bit about, you hear people say, I remember I'm in Oklahoma, and uh, I've even said it too. I believe our area, we're out in the boonies, I'm outside of Tulsa, and I'm not even close to Tulsa, but that's, you have some idea. But um, small areas like this can be targeted. Um, I've, I've talked about it on my three-man militia stuff. And but anyway, when I lived in Guatemala, uh, they did a small community, and it's all mountainous in Guatemala. And they cut. There was only the road going through. Is what it was. You had mountains on one side and the ocean was on the other side. And what they did, and that was the only roads. And so they cut off both ends, put roadblocks on both ends. And then they went in and it went the town there, small community, and they went house to house, and they were supposed to be looking for drugs, but they took money. They took gold and silver. They took guns. They took ammunition and drugs. If they found drugs, they took them too. And um, some of the stuff was in the walls. And I didn't see this. This is what I heard. And so they found it in the walls. And so that led me to believe it wasn't Guatemala uh, military police only, because they're not that equipped that they can find things in the walls. They got concrete buildings down there. And uh, they also did a section of the city that I lived in. I lived on the outside, just outside of the city. And they took like a 3 square block area and they put fences up, like getting dark. Then they started putting fences up. So there was no traffic going in and out of there. And then come early morning, they started going house to house. Same thing, looking for drugs. And they picked up all the other stuff and whatever they wanted to besides that. Now, that one, I saw Marine helicopters. I knew there were Marines in Guatemala at that time because I heard they had some Marine helicopters in Guatemala City. And then from there, they came to where I was at. And now I don't know if they used Marines going in the thing, but they had the helicopters. I knew about that. I mean, I heard about it, and I drove over there, but I didn't get real close. But I drove over there, and I could see the Marine helicopters were kind of overseeing everything. So they know how to do all this stuff. And then the reason I'm telling you this is because I just saw that ICE did immigration people. They went into 5 states in the United States and got I don't remember how many now, but maybe 100 and something, maybe 300 kind of sits in my brain, but they got a few, and it was Illinois, Missouri, Kansas. Um, I don't remember, but they were all in the central part of the United States, and that started me thinking. It always gets spooky when I start thinking, and but anyway, I'm thinking, well, and they got some. bad people. I mean, murderers, rapers, and all kinds of stuff, and child human trafficking, and they got some bad people. And so, I mean, they did good. But what it clicked when they did that, when I heard about that, it clicked in my mind. Why did they come out here to do it? I mean, hey, I mean, I'm sure you could throw a net on in sections of Chicago, L.A., New York, or whatever. You could. I mean, they could throw a big net over it and get a bunch. And so this is what I was thinking. I wonder why they would do that. And um, what got me thinking on that is, all right, this is easy prey. Out here in the central part of the United States, we don't have, I mean, it's not that easy. You hear me talk about the three-man militia. It's not that easy to get three people together. And, they do have some militias, but the reality, these militias aren't well, they're not as organized as they should be. But like I say, there's no real big reason to do it yet. The main thing they do those is so they know who's involved, so they know who to call and stuff like that. But uh, it's it made me think. Well, why wouldn't they go someplace where you want to get some bad guys? There's places you can go where you can get a whole bunch of them in one whack. But that I started thinking about it, and what it is. Can you imagine if they did a 3-block area in LA? I mean, you remember LA riots. You young folk probably don't remember, but LA's tends to riot pretty easily. And uh, if they were to try to do that in LA, the gangs could come up with, I would say, several hundred armed people in a state where gun control's pretty tight in California. But I bet you, they try to round up a bunch of bad guys in L.A. I bet you it won't work. And but so that's why I'm thinking that's why they're hitting these smaller areas. So the reason I'm mentioning it is so then now, if that's the case, all these people that say, well, nothing's going to happen here, I think it would, and I think it could. I had people say, well, they can't do martial law all over the whole country. They don't need to. Um, Even in our small communities that we have here, I mean, there's communities that are what 5,000, 7,000. Let's see, when I was living up on the border, there was communities like 10,000. No, you could come in and use martial law on that one community, and you'd be very effective. And because I know there's people in Wyoming and Idaho, and all these people think that they're real safe. But the reality is they're not. And even the cities are not. Because remember, I told you about the 3-block. Now, this is when we go to another country to do our thing. If they started doing it right here in the United States, they could just do one city, one section of a city at a time. And now I don't know, like LA, I think that'd be probably one of the hardest ones that any government would have a problem with if they want to take over something like that. But it is a doable thing. Even LA is a doable project. I probably wouldn't jump into that. I'd probably go into all these small communities, like saying, hit them first. But we're more law-abiding folk than those people you're gonna find out there. So, but anyway, it's just something to think of. On if you think that you're safe where you're at, you might want to reconsider that. This is Mike, no stress Mike.com.